Welcome to the Best Football Show. I'm Brian Baldinger. This is a free show. You can download a free Odyssey app. You can find the Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger. You can like it, subscribe to it, comment on it. We love it. We're trying to grow it. You can find me at Baldy NFL across all the platforms, from Twitter and X to Instagram to Threads to TikTok to YouTube. It's game week. It's Tuesday, September 4th. We're 48 hours plus away from the Cowboys coming to visit the Philadelphia Eagles. It's an exciting time for everybody. College football has kicked off. We all got a little taste of it. And now it's ready for the NFL season. I'm ready. I know you're ready. I think fantasy teams have all been drafted. Congratulations on your team. But we started breaking down division by division. Last week we started looking at the NFC North. We looked at the Detroit Lions. And now it's time to look at the team that's in the news, because the pack is back, the Green Bay Packers, because they just acquired one of the great defensive players in this game. And a couple of things about Micah Parsons and acquiring great talent. First of all, it rarely ever happens. Joe Montana left San Francisco and went to Kansas City and took him deep into the playoffs one year. My brother was on that team in, 1992. But 1992, I was a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. We probably had the best defensive football at that time. And Reggie White was our best football player on the whole team. Everybody knew it. Everybody tried to game plan for the big dog, as we like to call him, the Reverend Reggie White. And then in the offseason, free agency started, and Norman Brayman, the owner, decided he wasn't going to pay Reggie White. And he was the first big name to leave via free agency. He went to the Green Bay Packers. And on that day that he was traded, the Packers became a Super Bowl contending team. They won one 3 years later. This doesn't happen. Great players, because the great players change the game. They win and lose games. And when you have a lot of them, like the Philadelphia Eagles did this year with Saquon and Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown, you go, just rip them off. You win Super Bowls. You get to the playoffs every year. The Packers got to the playoffs last year. They were 11-6. They were a good team, but not a complete team. They lost to the Eagles in the playoffs. And I remember that game distinctly. It was at Lincoln Financial Field. It was wild card weekend. At one point, in the third quarter, it was 16-10. Josh Jacobs scored from a yard out. It was 16-10. They didn't have many good wide receivers that were healthy at that time. And, the Eagles put the Packers away, but it was a one-score game deep into the third quarter. That's when you need Micah Parsons. You need Micah Parsons. Like, they made changes in Green Bay last year. Matt LaFleur brought in Jeff Heffley from Boston College, head coach of Boston College, who had coached in the NFL, coached at a couple different spots in the NFL. He knew the NFL game. But he changed the structure of the defense in Green Bay, and it paid off. Here's what he did. Prior to last year, they were a multiple defense. They were a 3-4 defense. They were 4-3. They played all these different looks. Well, he came out and he played a four-man front. Okay? Rashawn Gary in a four-man front had his best season, Pro Bowl season. All right? They pressed the receivers on the outside. They played a lot of man coverage. They robbed the middle of the field. Xavier McKinney had 8 interceptions, went to a Pro Bowl. Edgerrin Cooper, a middle linebacker that was drafted out of Texas A&M, flourished in the second half of the season. Well, their defense is in place. What they need is a stud pass rusher, and that's what they're going to get in Micah Parsons. He leads the National Football League in quarterback pressures over the last 4 years. You could debate Micah Parsons all you want with me. He's overpaid. He doesn't show up in the playoffs. I'll show you how he does. I'll show you what he does. But for the most part, he's probably going to be the opposite edge rusher of Rashawn Gary. But they can move him around. They can put him in different packages and rush him from the inside and get him isolated on running backs and in third down situations. They'll do all those things. Jeff Heffley is a very good coach. Now, the one thing that they did in Green Bay's defense last year was they took the ball away. And that's the other part to what he wanted. He wanted more takeaways. They had 31. I'm telling you, just write it down. If the Packers have 30-plus takeaways this year, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be running. It's just going to happen. But they had 31 takeaways. The Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers had 33. But anybody that gets north of 30 takeaways, they're probably going to go to the playoffs. Now, I mentioned that number because when Micah Parsons was with Dan Quinn his first 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys, over that 3-year span of time, they had more takeaways than anybody else in the league, and they won 12 games each year. And they were the number one offense. And Dak was going to the Pro Bowl. Micah Parsons was a big part of those turnovers, whether he was forcing fumbles or forcing bad throws or flushing the quarterback or whatever. He was a big part of the pressure that led to, you remember Deron Bland, interceptions and touchdowns and all that stuff. Well, that's probably coming to Green Bay right now. Now, that's just the defense, okay? Offensively, they're in good shape. They've upgraded the offensive line. We'll see if Rasheed Walker can hold off all the challenges at left tackle, but he looks like Zach Tom is a Pro Bowl player at right tackle. They've upgraded the offensive line. Josh Jacobs coming off a phenomenal season. They draft Matthew Golden. A legit number one wide receiver. But to go with Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed and Dontavius Wicks and, Tucker Kraft at tight end, they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team. And then when you are a playoff team, and I think Jordan Love will play very well. He's had some injuries over the last couple of seasons. Got hurt week 1 last year in Brazil. Took him a couple weeks to get right. But Malik Willis came in. It showed you that Matt LaFleur is a great coach. Jordan Love goes down week 1, knee sprain. Malik Willis comes in, wins 2 games, playing a completely different style of football than what he's used to. It's a very, very good team. But Micah Parsons, he's just a difference maker. Like you give that defense a lead and you let Micah and Rashawn and Kenyatta and Edgerrin Cooper, you let these guys, Lucas Van Ness, you let these guys tee off with the lead in the fourth quarter at at Lambeau Field. I played Lambeau Field when it gets loud. It's difficult. Very difficult. That's when, you start taking the ball away. So I love the trade. I don't care about the 2 first-round picks. Micah Parsons has not been in any draft since he was drafted in 2021. You look at all the drafts, there ain't been a Micah Parsons in any of them. Been good players, hadn't been a Micah Parsons. He's not in every draft. Maybe every 5 years, maybe every 10 years, you get a player of his abilities. So, and he's happy and he wants to be there. So that's Green Bay. The other team that won a lot of games last year, won 14 games, the Minnesota Vikings. I was up in Eagan, Minnesota this summer. Sat down with Kevin O'Connell, sat down with, Andrew Van Ginkel, Aaron Jones, Byron Murphy. A bunch of their star players. This is a great team. Around the quarterback. We don't know. We don't know what's going on with J.J. McCarthy. Nobody really knows how he's going to play, how he's going to progress, what the learning curve is going to be. They were great with Sam Darnold. In fact, I just broke down this morning all of Justin Jefferson's touchdown catches last year. And some of the throws by Sam Darnold were just dimes, absolute dimes. I don't know if J.J. McCarthy can make that throw, that 13-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson against Keyshawn Nixon at Lambeau Field, where literally he was smothering him. And he put it in the only place that he could get the ball through Keyshawn Nixon. And Justin Jefferson catching. Next thing you know, he's doing the gritty. Now, they're going to be without Jordan Addison the first 3 weeks. Jalen Naylor is there. They're loaded in other places. Aaron Jones is back for another great year. They've upgraded the offensive line. The offensive line was a problem in the playoffs last year, and their loss to the Rams. It was ugly. They've upgraded the center position, bringing in Ryan Kelly from Indianapolis, bringing in Will Fries, getting the Pro Bowl left tackle back. They're going to be very good up front. Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. He's a great coach. He adjusts. You just think about the year when they lost Kirk Cousins, and they were bringing quarterbacks in off the street and winning football games and getting into the playoff hunt. Great coaches can adjust. And Kevin O'Connell's a great play caller. and he's a great game day coach. Now, the other part to this is Brian Flores. Brian Flores has created a defense. It started in Miami, and it is a blitz zero look where everybody is one more is walked up into the line of scrimmage. Then you have blockers. If you have 7 potential blockers, he's going to walk 8 up into the line of scrimmage. If you have 6 potential blockers, he's going to walk 7 up. And it's really a chess match. Do you think he's coming? Do you think he's bluffing? It really puts offenses in a conundrum. If you call max protection and they drop out and they rush 4 and you're packed in there with 7 blockers and you have 3 receivers out there and they're dropping 7, I mean, you're going to have very few places to go with the ball. If you don't go max protection and you bring 8 against their 7-man protection, you're going to have 1 free hitter coming right at your quarterback. And then it's a question of, can you get the ball out on time? The race is on. And that's third down. But Brian Flores will do that on any down. And then he's got a lot of versatile players. Josh Metellus, 44. Ivan Pace Jr., Andrew Van Ginkel. He's got guys, Jonathan Greenard. He's got guys that are very flexible. They can move around. They brought in Jonathan Allen from Washington. They brought in, Javon Hargrave from San Francisco. They've upgraded the defensive tackle position. They have upgraded the interior of the offensive line. They're much better. And Minnesota tied with Pittsburgh for the league a year ago in takeaways, 33. And, there was a lot of defensive touchdowns too. Andrew Van Ginkel had 2 defensive touchdowns last year. Through 12 weeks last year, you could have easily said that Andrew Van Ginkel was the defensive player of the year. He didn't finish as strong the last 5 weeks, but he had a great season. Sacks, takeaways, touchdowns, they led the league in interceptions a year ago. So they are a team to contend with. The question is the quarterback. And Kevin O'Connell will do everything he can, because this is what great coaches do, to take all the pressure off of J.J. McCarthy. Hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL. It's interesting. It's very interesting. They traded Sam Howell, the backup away, who had yet to take a snap in Minnesota, to the Philadelphia Eagles. And they acquired Carson Wentz. Now, I know Carson Wentz pretty good. I was here in Philadelphia when he first got here in 2016. He had a great year. In 2017, he's an MVP candidate. He tears his ACL against the Rams and didn't play. And Nick Foles won a Super Bowl in Minnesota, Super Bowl 52. It's interesting in talking to coaches that are around Carson Wentz. He needs to be coached hard. Some guys do. Some guys, you just got to stay on them. Fundamentals, release, eyes, discipline, practice. Carson can get into a lot of bad, lazy habits, and it's led to his downfall. But I also have known coaches that coached him really hard, and they got a great Carson Wentz. I'm interested. Now, Carson has bounced. He's been to Andy Reid in Kansas City. He's been to the Rams with Sean McVay. He's now been around great coaches. Great coaches. I'm interested to see, after Carson Wentz has gone to Andy Reid and now Sean McVay and now Kevin O'Connell, if you can rekindle Carson Wentz 2017, I believe it's salvageable because the talent is truly there. It just is. Like, he's a cyborg. He's 6'5". He's 240. He can run. He hasn't been beat up over the last 4 years. He's healthy. Backup quarterbacks are important. We'll see. J.J. McCarthy got hurt last year. J.J. McCarthy hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL. But the team around J.J. McCarthy is a deep, maybe Super Bowl caliber. Maybe Super Bowl caliber around the quarterback. So that's the NFC North. We got one team to get to yet. We still got to get Chicago Bears, who plays the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night this week. We'll get to the Bears and Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. We'll get to that the next time that we all meet and convene right here on the Best Football Show. Thanks for joining me, everybody.